Army mateys, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Christine. I like to read dark and disturbing things, and today I am going to find out if the pirate's life is for me with a pirate vlog. So I was sitting and looking at my books that I wanted to get to that were more fantasy type books, and I was trying to find a common theme among some of them, and I did for a few. I've kind of come up with a few different categories. One of those categories was pirates. I've never read a pirate book before, and I thought, why not start? So I had 3 books that I thought or knew would contain pirates, and that is what I read in this vlog. It ended up taking quite some time to get through everything, as you will see as we go along. So this is not over the course of a week or even 2 weeks. This took me the whole month. Apologies for any sounds you're hearing. I am trying to film this while they work on my house, and I just keep starting and stopping. So I had 3 books that I knew had pirates. I knew for sure that The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi had pirates. I had read the synopsis of Tress of the Emerald Sea, pirates. And then this one was kind of on me. I had wanted to read The Child Thief by Brom for quite some time, and I had set up a buddy read with Ellie over at Bibbidi Bobbidi Books to read this, and I thought, there's pirates in Peter Pan. This is a Peter Pan retelling, so pirates? Maybe? If you had asked me before I started, or if I had filmed this before I started, I would have told you that I probably thought that this was most likely going to be the book that I enjoyed the most. Because I've read 2 other books by Brom, I have not read any books by Brandon Sanderson, who wrote Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I have not yet read any books by Shannon Chakraborty, who wrote The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi. So I thought for sure this was going to be my favorite. It was going to be the darkest. It was going to be maybe not the most piratey, but I thought it was more in my usual genre. These 2, I had no idea what to expect, and I thought if I had to rank that I probably might be a little bit more into this one, only because I have heard more about Brandon Sanderson and it was a bit shorter, whereas this was a bit chunkier. So I'm going to let you find out by watching everything I've filmed and seeing how this turned out. If I was correct about this or the other. I don't have 3 hands. My first mate here, on the SS Crits, she's very creeped out by all of the sounds going on outside, so she's not too happy about it. Would you fight a pirate for me? Would you? You would fight him with cuteness. All right, so without further ado, let's see how it went. Hello, today is Tuesday, and I'm checking in because I did start The Child Thief by Brom a few days ago. I am buddy reading this one with Ellie over at Bibbidi Bobbidi Books, and we have decided to read 40 pages a day, give or take. And I am currently on page 171. So I haven't read my 40 pages yet today, but I just wanted to check in and kind of talk about this. So this is a Peter Pan retelling, and like all Brom books, there's some great artwork involved. And in this one, it isn't. In the other books that I've read of his, like, it's just like a section of colored artwork in the middle, but this one actually has pictures throughout, usually at the beginning of a chapter, which is very helpful for trying to picture some of these creatures that he's got going on in this world of his. So this book starts off very dark, and we are kind of looking in on a young girl who has problems at home and is being abused by her father when the child thief, or as we know him, Peter Pan, comes through her window and saves her, takes her away, and offers her an opportunity to follow him to some magical land where there's no grown-ups and she can live for a long time. It really sets the tone right off the gate that this is a very dark and gritty book. And we kind of just follow Peter as he, I guess, kidnaps, in a way, different children. He always kind of targets children or teenagers that are pretty much have been neglected by their parents, are off on their own, probably didn't have much of a childhood, and they don't have really a home to go back to. They don't want to be at home. They don't feel safe there. So he definitely targets these troubled kids and offers them a chance. They have to willingly go with him to this place called Avalon. And he lets them know that there are monsters there, there is danger there, but you will, you know, have a newfound family and you will live a long time. So these kids, not having that much of a choice, end up following him, and he brings them into this world of danger. I'm still exploring this world, and there's only been one mention of like a Captain Hook type character so far. So I haven't really met the pirates yet, but we're kind of getting to know, in particular, one boy that's come across named Nick, and he is trying to find his footing in just how to get along day-to-day life with this group of pretty tough, rambunctious kids that have no rules, that have had to fend for themselves. And there's little fae-like creatures flying around, pixie type creatures, not like you see in the Disney movie. It's more like these vicious little creatures. Everyone is kind of out for themselves, and you just need to try to fit in and not cause any trouble. I will say that there has been some problematic language in this book that I don't really appreciate. The first time I heard some of these terms used, I was like, sometimes it's a fine line for me where I'm like, are we just trying to show what kind of person this character is? The kind of upbringing they've had, just to show the character. But it's come up a few times, and there's a lot of swearing in this book amongst the kids, which, I mean, I'm not like clutching my pearls at reading all the swearing, but it is a bit much. It actually takes you out of the story, or for me it does. And it seems like kind of a lazy way of writing these characters to show that they're tough and they're from the streets of New York. And it's like, yeah, we get it. We don't need to keep on abusing this language just to the max. It's kind of weird. And Ellie, the person that I am buddy reading this with me, agrees that, because I was like, am I just getting really sensitive, or am I getting, I mean, I read plenty of other books with much worse language, but it kind of fits the character, or it fits the tone of the story. And in this case, it doesn't always. So I'm hoping that we start to back off some of that language and really get to know some of these characters that we've come across. Like, we've come across some witches and mysterious forest women, and I'm interested to know, why does Peter Pan need to steal these children? Because he's not doing it just for their sake. He's definitely doing it something to do with this world that he lives in that needs these children. He needs these children for whatever reason that has not been revealed yet. So we will find out, and I will check back with you. Have a pretty lazy day going on today. I feel like I haven't been reading quite as much. Like, I know I'm set to read 40 pages, but I am reading other books, and I think that I'm just in a weird place mentally lately. And when I try to read, I can't really focus because my mind is going to these places that it doesn't need to go to. So hopefully I can get over that and get back to being more immersed in these stories. So I will check back with you later.
What is it? What is it? You have food in your bowl? Not what you want, huh? You don't want the food? Food in the bowl? You got food in your bowl? Get out of here. Hello. So today is Sunday and I obviously have not checked in a while. Um yeah, I don't know. I have been going through some stuff lately, I think. Basically, I've been having these weird things. I think that people tend to call emotions, and they're not cool. I'm not a fan. Anyway, I have made it to page 317 in Brom. I feel like this book is taking me forever to read, and not a lot of pirates. Not a lot of pirates. I started this book thinking there were going to be pirates, but um yeah, this book, for whatever reason, it is everything on paper that you would think that I would love. It is super dark fantasy. It is violent. It's gritty. It's a retelling. Like, all the check marks should be there for me that just, for whatever reason, is not working 100% for me. I think that I don't have any connection to any of the characters. They're all kind of not very likable, and Peter Pan is a character who never ages and never matures, so I feel like, how do you have a character arc with a character that never really learns a lesson or changes or whatever? And yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason this one's just not really working for me, and I don't know, it could be just this weird funky mood that I've been in, or it could be the book, but I feel like it's putting me in a slump. I'm going to try to finish it up as fast as I can. So I just have that much left, and then hopefully I can move on to the next book and just have a better time with it. Sorry, this is a weird angle, but I am about to go on Kitty's sprints, so I'm kind of all set up here. I don't know what else I could say about this book. I don't really remember where I left off. I don't know. It's just not my favorite from Brom. So hopefully I will be finishing it up soon and I could check in, and then we could just move on to other things. Maybe with more pirates. Checking in. Today is Tuesday. I am so sorry about how poorly I've done with this vlog and checking in, but I have to say, I'm blaming this book right here. I started this book on the 1st of March, and today is like, I don't even know what day today is. I want to say it's like the 11th or 12th. It's the 12th because Contra comes out today. I feel like this book put me in a slump, and I did this as a buddy read, and it kind of did the same thing for her. So it's not just me. I did finish this book though, and I went into this vlog thinking that I had 3 books that would have pirates in them. And I mean, I guess it does, but not really till the end. And even then, I think it's a stretch, but I read it, so it's a book that I had wanted to read anyway. By the way, ignore all the crap behind me. I just filmed an unboxing and made a big mess. Okay, thoughts. I don't even remember what I've told you about this, but it is a very dark Peter Pan retelling. On paper, this seems like a book I should love. Retelling, check. Dark fantasy, check. Violence, check. Very descriptive violence. I don't know why I just could not connect with this or care. So for 500 pages or whatever it was, almost 500 pages, that's a long book to read. But because Peter Pan is such, I mean, he's supposed to be a great character, but I just thought he was kind of a dick. And then I just didn't connect with anyone. It felt like every single character in this book is incredibly selfish and out for themselves. So you don't care, like, there's high stakes, but you don't care, or I didn't care what happened to them. A lot of religious stuff kind of comes up towards the end, and it was just overdone. The end of this book to me felt like, because I'm a nerd, I'll compare it to video games. But it feels like when you're playing a video game and you get to the final boss and you're like, yeah, I'm at the final boss, the big showdown. And then you beat the boss, but then another one shows up. You're like, okay. And then you beat that boss, and another one shows up. And that just keeps happening until you get to the point where you're like, I don't effing care anymore. I just want this video game to end. Like, just stop. And that is how I felt about the end of this book. There was tons of action. There was so much gratuitous violence that it completely desensitized me to it. And it just was like, oh yeah, heads are rolling left and right. I couldn't even like get into it. So I don't know. This is a weird one for me. It definitely put me in a bit of a slump, and I just was trying to finish it at the end. It's not that it was boring. Things were happening. It's just I did not care, which is kind of weird. So I think I'm just a very character-driven reader. So if you're not, and you just like plot and you like tons of violence and dark themes, because this book goes there. It goes to probably every dark thing you could think of, which again, you think I would be into, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I've read Brom before, I've read Slewfoot, I've read Krampus, and I really enjoy those. And so I have such high expectations for Brom, and I felt like some of the writing in this was lazy. There was problematic language. I looked, and this was written in 2009, which to me is far too late to have some of that language. And I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, thinking it was just a way to express how these characters were, but it was just lazy and overdone. I don't know. I think I'm in the minority of this, but I didn't love it. I'm happy to move on. We're moving on. We're not talking about this anymore. I've also been working on, I don't know if you care, but you're on my channel, so you're gonna have to hear about it. I've been working on this blanket for a while now. This is my first time attempting to crochet a blanket. I know how to crochet like amigurumi, like little animals, but I thought I should try to do something useful. And so I bought this fun yarn that changes color as you go, and I have gotten pretty far. Ugh. I'm trying to finish off this, and then when I get to the blue, I will try to do like an edge on this, so then it will be complete. And I think it's so cool. And I'm excited to finish it, not only to have my blanket, but I'm excited to finish it because I want to try some other stuff. And I need to tell myself, I've been telling myself, stop starting projects when you've already got one started. All right, book-wise, I'm going to be hopping into my second pirate book, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I have never read Brandon Sanderson. Of course, I've heard tons of things about him, but a lot of his stuff is like huge series, and I'm very intimidated by that. So this is a standalone. I don't really know what it's about, but I know there's pirates. Hopefully there's more pirates than the Child Thief. But we're going to check this out. I hope that it reads quickly because it is the shorter of the 3 books that I picked out. Let's see. It is about a little under 400 pages. Yeah, I just... hopefully I'm not in a slump. That's all I'm going to say. And I'd really love to if I lived in a perfect world, I would finish this and the next book I want to read within this week, just in time for the Week of Weird next week. But I'm not that fast of a reader, and also I have been distracted. So there we are. There's my little check-in. All right, I will check back in later.
Hey guys, today is Friday and I was not able to check in yesterday because my house needs to be completely resided, and I ordered the parts like early December and it's taken a while to come in, and all of a sudden I guess they showed up, and I found out by looking out my window yesterday and seeing a porta potty being delivered on my driveway. Yeah, along with a huge dumpster, and all of a sudden they're tearing my house apart. So here I am, I'm on my way to work. I'm in line to get coffee, and I thought I would check in, kill two birds with one stone. So I'll show pictures of my house, but it's gonna be hard to film in my house for a long time. It's gonna be so loud, and my dog has been going nuts. It is super expensive, and I feel bad complaining because I know I'm lucky to have a house, but at the same time, it's like something that should have been prevented. So when they built the house, they didn't install the siding properly, and as a result, there is like rotting going on. So if I had been the original homeowner, it would have been covered under warranty, which is kind of why it's extra annoying. So anyway, I'm not here to bitch about that, but I'm here to tell you about Tress of the Emerald Sea, which I started. I think I'm about 130-ish pages in, and I went in completely blind, knowing nothing other than it was written by Brandon Sanderson, and it was a standalone fantasy. Let me tell you what it's about. It is about this young woman named Tress who lives on an island, and she washes windows for a living. And one of the places she washes windows for is the Duke's castle. And when she's there cleaning windows, the Duke's son is kind of hanging about, and he says that he's the gardener so that he can, you know, talk with her and pretend to be like a regular person. And she knows who he is. She's not fooled, but you know, they get along and they really seem to like each other. One day the Duke finds his son fraternizing with the help. So he is like, you know what, enough's enough. It's time for us to go find you a wife. We are gonna go sail around and set up a marriage for you. And he tells Tress, you know, don't worry, I will make myself so incredibly boring that nobody will want to marry me. And so they sail off, and he writes to Tress. He tells her of all of the, you know, ways that he has bored these women. So she's getting all these letters from him, and one day the Duke comes back without the son, and she is like, where did he go? And it turns out that the son was kidnapped and held for ransom by this evil sorceress. The Duke decides that he's not going to pay the ransom. It's not worth it. He's not the son that he wanted him to be, and ends up Tress decides that she is going to go out on her own, even though she's never left this island, and she's going to rescue her man. And she ends up becoming a stowaway on a ship, and her adventures go from there. This finally has the pirates that I have been looking for. It is told in a very whimsical, fun way. It actually gives me Princess Bride vibes, and I think it's because it's actually kind of being narrated by the cabin boy to us, and he like will talk to us, like breaks the fourth wall to talk to the reader. So it kind of reminds me of in Princess Bride, the grandpa telling the story to Fred Savage. It's actually almost could be a middle grade book so far, and I don't mean that it's like juvenile, but just the simple style that it's written in is just kind of refreshing and easy to get into, and it reads pretty fast. So I better get my ass to work, but I just wanted to say I'm having a really fun time with it so far, and I am out of my slump that I was in with The Child Thief. So I will check back in hopefully soon. Hi. So I thought I would hop on here really quick because it's been really hard to film anything for the last week. I've had my house being worked on and it is so loud. Like it is so, and these guys have been working really long hours to, I guess, maximize like the daylight and the good weather. And I don't know how they do it day after day because they work for so long that I would just be dead after one day, but they come back day after day and do it. So, kudos to them for that. But like today they were using some kind of, it sounded like a dentist drill and it was right on the other side of this wall and I could feel the vibrations in my teeth. It was just, ugh. Anyway, so this vlog that I thought would take maybe a couple weeks is just gonna, you know what, it's taken the month and I'm just going with it because I've been slowly chipping away at the 3 books. The first book just took me so long and I did finish this the other day, but now it's Week of Weird and I've been reading other things. So, you know, it doesn't matter, does it? I finished Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I don't remember if I told you that when I started this, I just went in completely blind. All I knew was that it was Brandon Sanderson. I've never read a book from him, and that this was a standalone. So I knew that I thought it would be a good way to dip my toe into the pool of Sanderson. But yeah, I really liked this. I know I mentioned that it was giving me Princess Bride vibes because the way that the narrator speaks to the reader reminded me a lot of like the grandpa telling the story, The Princess Bride. And as it turns out, that was intentional. And he, in the post, in his postscript, he mentions that like that was the way he was trying to come across by using this character as the narrator. So that was very intentional, and I guess I picked up on what he was trying to do, which is cool. If you've never seen Princess Bride or never read it, don't worry, it won't matter. So this book was really fun. I feel like it's a weird thing because I feel like this could be for adults, for YA or middle grade. I feel like anybody could pick up this book and it wouldn't really matter the age, which you don't see very often. And I really enjoyed that. It made it very easy to pick up. There was a lot of humor kind of injected in here, and I think humor can go a couple ways, especially when you're reading it. People don't pick up on tone of voice and different things like that always. But it had some humor in it. Like it never took itself too seriously, but at the same time, it would drop like little truth bombs. Like a lot of times it was the narrator just kind of like he's telling us the story of what happened, but at the same time, he would inject little thoughts or little jokes or little just comments on life. And I wish that I had at the beginning had my tabs with me to tab those little things, but I didn't. And then, you know, I'm halfway through and I'm like, oh, you know, it seems silly to start now. So I would reread this, and in the future, like I'm a very forgetful person, so I will forget what happened. So, you know, if I read this in a couple years, I think it would be nice to do that. I don't know if I ever showed the inside that has the cover art. She collects cups. Like that's her quirky little thing, is that she collects cups from around the world. And there is a talking rat in it, so I thought that was cool. And then there was a picture of her. So overall, I really like this book. I'm kind of struggling with what to rate it, only because while I really loved it and I wouldn't change anything about it really, and then I'm like, okay, well then you need to give it 5-star. But I'm like, but is this gonna live in my heart? I'm so stingy with my 5 stars. Am I gonna remember this in 6 months from now? And I don't know that I will. And I only say that because
I didn't feel a super attachment to these characters. I cared about them. Like, it's not like I didn't care about them at all, but I wasn't incredibly attached to them. Where, and maybe it's because I kind of knew it's a story where nothing is going to go too wrong. Like, it's all going to work out in the end type stuff. It's very cozy. I don't want to say there weren't real stakes. There was definitely world building, and there were stakes, but I felt in my heart that things would work out. I didn't feel like he was going to kill off the main character and do something crazy in a standalone book. I don't think I mentioned the world building, and I think that I will leave that to a surprise, or maybe if I do a full review on this, I'll mention it, only because I feel like that's kind of what set this book apart from other books, is that he injected this completely different concept of a world that I've never seen before, and I found it just kind of interesting to learn about it as I went. I'm like, do I give this? I'm like 4, 5 star, 4.5. I don't know. I might, it's been a couple days and I might think about it a little bit more. And it's so stupid. I don't know why I put so much pressure on myself, because I should be a little more free about giving 5 stars and being like, you know what? For what this book is, it's a fun journey, and that's it. It doesn't have to be life-changing. It doesn't have to necessarily be something that I think about 3 years from now, but I'm so stingy. But I really enjoyed this book, and I loved how it didn't take itself too seriously. I was a little worried about that just because I had never read Brandon Sanderson. So you'll have to let me know if this is indicative of his other books, and where do I go from here? Like, if I was to read something else by him. I thought while we were here that I could open up my book of the month. Got a little smashed with you, just because it's not like a super big unboxing. This month was the month that if you were like a BFF, you got to pick a free book. And here's the books that you got to pick from. And I already owned this one and this one, which of course I still have not read. I think this was the one that, yeah, got rated the best. This Abby Jimenez, Yours Truly. It's a romance book, so I didn't pick it. But I've never read anything by her. I don't know why. I'm like, maybe I just haven't read the right romance book. I should try something. That maybe I would try something from Abby. If I end up trying anything. And then yeah, the Lisa Jewell might have been good. I think that's a thriller. I've never really read Lisa Jewell, but this one here, Shark Heart, a love story, I had been seeing people talk about, so it was already kind of on my list of things I wanted to read at some point in my life. So I did pick that. That's a pretty cool cover. I am told that this is a weird book. I won't read the whole thing, just this blurb. It says, a gorgeous debut novel of marriage, motherhood, metamorphosis, and letting go. This intergenerational love story begins with newlyweds Ren and her husband Louis, a man who, over the course of 9 months, transforms into a great white shark. So I had initially thought this would be great for a week of weird, but as I'm behind on other things, I probably won't read it this week, but I do plan on reading this at some point. And then you have to pick a book of the month to get that book. And I saw this and it sounded so interesting to me and unlike anything I ever get. It's called Annie Bot by Sierra Greer. It says that Annie Bot was created to be the perfect girlfriend for her human owner, Doug. Designed to satisfy his emotional and physical needs, she has dinner ready for him every night, wears the cute outfits he orders for her, and adjusts her libido to suit his moods. True, she's not the greatest at keeping Doug's place spotless, but she's trying to please him. She's trying hard. She's learning too. Doug says he loves that Annie's artificial intelligence makes her seem more like a real woman. But the more human Annie becomes, the less perfectly she behaves. As Annie's relationship with Doug grows more intricate and difficult, she starts to wonder, does Doug really desire what he says he wants? And in such an impossible paradox, what does Annie owe herself? I I am currently reading another book about robots called In the Lives of Puppets. And then when I read this synopsis, I was like, it just sounded interesting to me. And I never read anything like that. So I thought it would be fun and kind of creepy and scary in a way. Maybe it's not even intended to be that. I don't remember what genre this was, but to me, that's freaking weird. So that should be fun to check out. So other than that, I am actually going to be finishing up what I'm currently reading, and then I will start my, oh, I never told you what the third book was, or maybe I did in the intro that I didn't make yet. So the last book that I plan on reading for this pirate vlog, which by the way, I don't think I said, this had all the pirate vibes I was looking for. This had that heart to it and that sense of adventure that I was looking for that Child Thief did not. And the next one I'm going to read is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I want to say I got this from Fairy Loot, but look at the sprayed edges, and it has this gorgeous cover and probably a gorgeous, it's got this cool hardcover, but I really love this map. This full color with, you can see the gold, look at the octopus there. Oh, love it. I don't even really know what this is about. Oh God, I hope this is an animal companion. The other one had a talking rat, and I'm like, yes, animal companions, especially if they can talk, hell yes. So I plan on going into this blind. All I know is that it's about pirates and that it is like 500 pages long. I haven't listened to anything in detail, but I feel like I've heard people say that they've enjoyed this one. So I'm looking forward to this. This has been kind of a weird month for me. I haven't read a lot of horror. I feel like I haven't finished a lot of books, but I swear I've been reading just at a slower pace and taking my time and getting to enjoy things. So I am glad that I read this. This was super fun, and I hope that I like this as much, if not more. That would be a great way to end this vlog with such a rocky start for me. All right, I am dragging this out. I will talk to you guys later in the month, since this is now like a month-long vlog. All right, bye. Hello. So today, I don't think it matters that today's Tuesday actually, because this vlog has been dragged out throughout the month. But it's the last week of March, and I did start The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi. I'm just checking in. I have made it to page 134, and I am really into this book. I went in knowing nothing but the fact that it was a book about a female pirate. That's it. And what this is about so far is about this woman pirate who is in her 40s. So already points for having a character in their 40s, a female pirate. She is Muslim. So that's like just a character that I've never read about before. Sorry if my voice sounds weird. I'm getting some kind of sick thing. Anyway, she is pretty much retired. She has decided to settle down after she had her daughter, and she has been kind of living in hiding for the last 10 years. She wants to keep her daughter safe, and she knows there's a lot of people out there that would like to do her harm. So she's been hiding out and laying low and just having a nice, simple life. We don't know anything about her past other than she was a very nefarious pirate. She is well known, and she's very tall for a woman. So she kind of stands out, and people know her as, you know, like stories have gone on about her that she's a witch, that she's, you know, this or that. She's got magical abilities, because how could a woman possibly do all of these things? So one day someone comes to her door, which never happens since she's in hiding, and says she's this elderly lady and she's very rich. And Amina tries to play dumb, like she doesn't know who Amina is. She tries to pretend she's like a servant. And this woman's not buying it. She knows who she is, and she's sought her out and found her somehow. And she wants Amina to find out what happened to her granddaughter, who she believes was kidnapped. Now, she's had no contact with the person who kidnapped her. They're not asking for ransom or anything yet, but she is desperate. So she has sought out Amina, and Amina reluctantly agrees because of this granddaughter is the daughter of someone that was on her ship previously. So it kind of tugs at her heartstrings. And if she's being honest with herself, the sea has called her ever since she left. Like there's always this pull for her to be on adventure and out on her boat or her ship. And, you know, she has to decide to stay home and be a mother or follow her heart and do this thing. She wants she wants both, but she can't have both. But she reluctantly agrees to do this. And so far, where I've gotten is she's kind of collecting some of her crew. The first person she goes to is a female who is known for being like one of the best at using poisons. And I'm all like, hell yeah, just dangerous women. And I love it. This is very different from Tress of the Emerald Sea, and that Tress, the crew of pirates were not really pirates. I mean, they were, but they weren't. They were a name only, and they all were like really good people who kind of stumbled into these situations. Whereas Amina has done bad things. It sounds like she's probably at war in her head and her heart with her religion and the things that she's done. And, you know, she acknowledges that those things were not right, but she's also not afraid to do whatever she's got to do. So she has acquired 2 of her previous shipmates. She had somebody that was looking after her boat. They are now on the ship, and we're about to get into some adventure. I think we're going to be uncovering a lot of her past and what happened with some of her crew that has been kind of alluded to. Also, her daughter, I think we're going to find out something to do with the daughter's father, who's not in the picture. Amina is a woman who's had many husbands and many divorces, or ex-husbands, I should say. And I don't know, I'm really loving this. It also differs from Tress in that the writing is definitely not as simple or jovial as Tress from the Emerald Sea. Not that that's a bad thing. I like a book that you could pick up easily. I wouldn't say this is difficult, but I am looking up some words, and I'm not like super familiar with the geography of like the Indian Ocean in this area. So I don't know, like, look at this beautiful map. You could see. I don't know, just a character that is so out of the realm of any character I have ever read about. And it's, at least where I live, that's not the norm that you see. So it's nice to have something totally different and refreshing, and I'm really enjoying it. So trying to finish this and another book before the end of the week has been a little bit difficult to concentrate on reading at times because they've been working on my house and it gets very loud. So yeah, other than that, today I'm not doing a whole heck of a lot. I'm hanging out with my girl here. If you can see her, she's very cozy. Yeah, she's looking like, why are you bugging me? I don't like leaving her home alone when there's people outside and she goes crazy. So I think I'm gonna take her for a little stroll and we'll go get the mail, because I think that the nail polish I ordered a few weeks ago came in, and I am excited to redo my nails. I know it's very exciting, but it is this brand that I saw Coral talk about on her channel. She said it lasts so long, and I didn't really believe her because I have tried a lot of nail polish, a lot of indie polishes, but I mean, that's over a week old, and that's like unheard of for, like, there's a little wear on the edges there because this nail always breaks on me, but like it's not chipped or anything. And I kind of wonder if it's the polish, their brand polish only, or if I just use the top coat on other polish, if that would work. So that's enough polish talk, I guess. I am going to go do that and read some more, and I'll check in later.
Hello, welcome back. So today is Friday. I think the last time I spoke to you was on Tuesday, and things have gotten worse since we last spoke. I'm just gonna preface this with sorry for any background sounds, because they are working on my house and it just seems to be random when they show up and when they aren't here. So to me, it is now just like the relaxing sounds of the background. So apologize for any of that. When I left you on Tuesday, I was very excited to go check my mailbox because I had an email saying that my nail polish had arrived, and I went to check it and it was not there. So it was delivered to the wrong house, which seems to happen a lot. Luckily, I live in a neighborhood full of nice people that are honest, and a few days later that someone brought it to me, so that was nice. Also, you probably can hear I don't sound great, I don't look great. I started feeling really sick, started having a fever, and I could not get rid of this fever despite taking things that should get rid of a fever. And I'm like, maybe I should test myself. And sure enough, I've gotten COVID for the first time, which is kind of crazy when I think about it, because I worked the entire time, the time which we will not name, and I worked in the public as a healthcare provider and was just in contact with hundreds of people a day. My husband also worked in that specific unit, and was exposed to people all day long. No one in our house has gotten it until now, and I hardly leave the house. Like, anyway, I hardly leave the house, so I think it's weird that I got it now, but whatever, it's here. And feeling a little bit better because I've mostly gotten rid of my fever. Like, it's still kind of hanging around like a low fever, but better than before. I haven't slept very well because I just start coughing. And so I'm just, I thought I better check in because I don't know if this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But I have been reading. The good part is I've had time to read The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi, and I feel lucky that I could do that because, sometimes you get really sick and you're like, cool, I could watch shows or read or play games in bed, but you feel like such trash that you don't even have the energy to do that. So I have had the energy to read, which is nice. I just fall asleep randomly, but that's not that unusual. So I'm on page 316 now, and she's gotten her crew together and she is on her mission, and we're kind of interjecting a little bit of her past in with the present. It's not done really in a dual timeline type thing. Like, the whole story is her telling her story to this scribe who is writing it down and going to relay it to the rest of the world. So sometimes she'll elaborate on certain things, and we kind of find out like some of her past relationships. There's still some secrets that I know we don't know about, and I'm excited to learn. And she, like, magic, like kind of this dark magic has been introduced, and she's a pirate. She's not into that. She's not messing with magic, but she's come across somebody who does some kind of sorcery, dark sorcery, and it scares the bejesus out of her. I don't want to go too much into detail. I don't want to ruin it. I just recently realized, like when I looked at this on Goodreads, is that this says it's #1, which I thought this was a standalone book, but I guess it's going to be, I guess it makes sense if it says the Adventures, that there's more than one. Well, I guess we're talking anyway. So I'm excited to think that this won't be the end, because I'm really enjoying it. I know I read that people think it's kind of boring, maybe the first 200 pages before she really sets off on her journey, but I have enjoyed it the whole time. I don't have a problem with a slow burn as long as I know it's going somewhere, and I'm along for the ride. I'm having fun, and yeah, I don't know what too much more to say about it. There are some like religious aspects, and I don't want to scare anybody because I am not religious, and I don't love that put into books unless it has a reason. And I think that if you were religious, you probably would pick up a little bit more than what I'm picking up. But it's not done in a way that's like preachy or anything like that. I think it would just add to the story if you were Muslim or understanding the conflicts between certain religions, which I don't fully. So I think that it doesn't hinder the story if you're not aware of it, because I'm having a fine time. But I think if you understood those aspects, I think you'd get even more out of this, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go relax and hopefully fall asleep. I feel like I have been lucky to have like I'm kind of quarantined in the house a little bit, like in the fact that no one will go within 6 feet of me. I don't really know if that's gonna help, but I've just been kind of hanging out on my own, which as a mom, let me tell you, in some ways is kind of nice. Like I kind of miss hanging out with people a little bit in my household, but I don't miss like no one wants me to prepare their food or anything, which is, it's good. I've had my dog to keep me company, which is nice too. So she's a good girl. Yes, she is. All right, I'm gonna go read and relax, and I will probably check in when I'm done with this, and hopefully I can record my intro and outro and not be so sickly. All right. So I did finish The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi, and final thoughts are, I loved this book. I love just about everything about it. I think about halfway or a little bit after halfway, we did start getting some pretty fantastical elements in there. I really hope that's not loud, but it is just the sound of my fellow pirates trying to drill open a treasure chest we found, so just ignore those sounds. But about halfway through, or a little bit more than halfway, it started getting very fantastical, whereas it didn't start off that way. It started off very what I thought realistic, and we really delve into some mythology and some creatures that I've never heard of. I've never really read any pirate books or any like sea adventure books, other than maybe a little bit of some water horror, but I've not come across these creatures. So one of them, and I don't even know if I'm saying this right, is a Marid, M-A-R-I-D. I'll pop a picture up. I had to look that up, and I found the descriptions to be amazing. I really wish there had been some pictures in this book of those creatures, because I was here for it. I think I said in my last clip that I found out that this was just book 1 in hopefully what's going to be a series, and I see that she set it up so that we could, I mean, it could end here, but it also is set up so that we can see what's in store for her and her crew and her daughter. I think if I had to give any kind of criticism for me, is it lacked a little tiny bit of emotional connection for me. And I think I'm being really picky when I say that, just because it's hard to say a book is perfection. But for me, I wanted it to tug at my heartstrings just a little bit more. But that said, I had a blast with this. I am giving this 5 stars. I will absolutely be reading any other book that comes out. And actually, turns out that I own another book by this author that I picked up on a whim a while ago and I never read it, called City of Brass. And I'm excited to delve more into her style of fantasy writing because I was really into it. I loved that this was about an older character in her 40s, someone that has lived life and knows what's important in life. She had a very clear reason for everything that she did because everything revolved around keeping her daughter safe, which as a mother, I totally understand. Romance was not a part of this. We did not really focus on her hooking up or becoming romantically involved with anyone, even though that obviously was part of her past since she has a daughter. And we do slowly uncover a lot of those parts of her past. But adventure in a setting that I'm not used to, creatures that I'm not used to, just a different way of life and a different perspective from things coming from this woman in this time period and with this religious background. I enjoyed all of it and I can't recommend it enough. It had that extra pizzazz that I wanted when I read some other fantasy books that I rated maybe a 4-star and didn't quite make it to a 5-star, because this just had those elements for me. I don't think I ever told you the ratings of the other ones, but I think I'm going to give Tress of the Emerald Sea a 4.5-star out of 5. This was a great book as well. It didn't quite hit as hard as The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi, but that's okay. It didn't take itself too seriously. It had a lot of humor. I really enjoyed that style of writing and that style of storytelling. This is a great palate cleanser if you're just looking for something that is not too heavy, but I really enjoyed this one. And again, even though there was kind of a romance plot in here, it wasn't super heavy, and it was really just the motivation for our character to do things. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't too much. And lastly, I think I'm gonna give Child Thief 3 stars. I think I'm being kind of generous with the 3 stars. This is maybe even a 2.5 for me, which is a real bummer because I do actually like Brom, and I do think that objectively this isn't a bad book. It was more just, it didn't really do it for me. And that's why I went with 3 stars, because it just didn't resonate with me for whatever reason. But I don't think that it is super poorly written or a bad story by any means. I do think there's plenty of other people out there that will enjoy this. So is the pirate's life for me? Reading about the pirate's life is definitely for me. I had such a fun time. It was really fun to kind of let go of horror a little bit and lean more into something totally different for me, and having a really good time doing so. I personally would not survive as a pirate. I get seasick so easily. I also don't like eating seafood, and I don't think my dog has sea legs. She would definitely not appreciate it. So we're gonna stay safe on land, but my adventures with reading fantasy are not over. I absolutely loved that I picked up these 2 books, and if you know anything that is similar to this, or if you have any suggestions on where to start with Brandon Sanderson outside of this, let me know. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up because there is a lot of noise going on, and I think that this video is gonna end up pretty long. So if you've made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Leave me any kind of pirate emoji down below and let me know if you've read any of these, if you plan on reading any of these after what I had to say about them, and what your thoughts were. I love connecting with you guys down in the comments. So I will see you guys on our next adventure. Stay spooky.